Franny, and welcome to the last episode in our 1964 Porsche 356C series, or is it? We have one more issue we need to work through on the car. Maybe I'll have to consult the owner on that. So it may not be the last episode, or maybe, I don't know. Well, at any rate, in today's episode, what we're going to do is take a look at these taillights. Now, these have the original incandescent bulbs in them, and a 6-volt car, they're a little dim. So I've got a really cool upgrade for that I want to show you. And I've got a couple of other upgrades that are on the car that I want to show you as well. And they're all safety related as well. Pretty neat stuff. And then I'm going to take the car out for a drive and give you my driving impressions on this super duper special car. All right, well, let's go to the workbench and I'll show you what I've got for these taillights. These are really special. Now, these are built by a company called CU Layer. So CU like copper, Layer. And they are LED taillight replacements for the teardrop taillights on a 356. So very bespoke to these cars. Anything from the T2 cars, so it'd be like a 58 and on, these will fit. And they're really amazing. These are 6-volt and they are incredibly bright. So we have a set of these on our car and they're just amazing. One of the best safety upgrades you can get, and they're just beautifully produced. So these two connectors are going into the original bulb sockets, so you don't have to modify your car in any way. This guy just sort of plops in. We've got a little additional ground up there, and look at how well these things are built. I mean, they're just beautiful, right? Just a really nice job on these things, and they're hand built, and the gentleman who makes these was just really nice and got them right out to us very quickly. So we're going to be installing these in the car. There's a left and a right, so they're mirror images of each other. And I just can't go off enough about these. They're just beautifully made. They include a full set of instructions, color instructions actually, exactly how to install these things, a grounding method if you have some issues with grounding and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff here. Some additional spacers here if you're having trouble getting those plugs into the original sockets, and some troubleshooting stuff. This is just really well documented and extremely well produced. This is a super quality product. One small problem with this can be that if your car has the original flasher in it, these things look like they're such a high impedance, they almost look like an open circuit in the back. So you may need to swap out your flasher relay with an electronic relay. Now, we had to do that on our car. The old style relays, the old mechanical ones, are just, they're designed that way on purpose, that if they see an open circuit, like a burnt out bulb, then they'll start flashing really fast on the other part of the car. So if it's in the front that's out, then it'll flash fast in the back, or vice versa. But this will allow us to run these LED taillights. In addition to the taillight upgrade, I mentioned another safety upgrade, and that's this. This is a headlight relay that Joe Leone builds, and this thing is really well produced. It's beautifully done. Look at this wonderful wiring and just perfect. It's exact right gauge. He's got all the right connectors on it. This thing is wonderful. And what it is a dual set of relays for the front headlights. Now, the problem with these cars is that they never had relays on the headlights, and the headlights pull a huge amount of current. So you've got all these IR drops all over the system. You've got one on the actual switch on the dash, then you've got your brights and any other connection. If it's not perfect, because these are 6-volt systems, then your headlights can get very dim. And on our car, they got super dim. And I installed one of these on our car, and it made a huge difference. Our lights were twice as bright. It was amazing. So a huge safety upgrade, I think, to make your headlights quite a bit brighter. Joe also provides a full schematic as well, and a set of instructions on how to install this. This thing is great. So this is a wonderful kit. And if you had to go through and try and figure all this wiring out yourself and then make all these connectors, and they're all beautifully heat shrink and just and you've got this nice little metal bracket which fits perfectly inside the fuse box, then you would have it would just take you all day and you'd have to research it and blah, blah, blah. Joe's kit is just wonderful for this. Now I'm going to show you on this car, it already has this installed. I didn't know that before I bought it, so oh well. It goes in the fuse box under the front bonnet there, and I'll show you that. It's just a beautifully neat and tidy installation. All right, well, let's move back to the car and install our taillights. We're starting on the left side of the car here. All we're going to need to install this new taillight is just a simple Phillips screwdriver. So we'll start by taking the chrome bezel and screws off of the taillight here. Now looking at the socket, we just have 2 bulbs in here, so we're going to remove our bulbs. Okay, well, I ran into a bit of a snag here. These taillight sockets are not original to this car. They're just kind of aftermarket, and the problem is this divider is in the wrong place. So there's a nice write-up in the instructions that they send along with this that talks about this, and let me show you what the issue really is. So we have our slot here, and that's where the divider goes, is straight through there. But if we look at this and line up our slot, see how we're way off center now? We're never going to make our bulb sockets. Really where it needs to be is right there. But that puts the slot way off here. So that's a problem. This guy is totally in the wrong spot. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do now. So first of all, what is this divider for in the first place? Well, it's just for bulb light bleed, so that when one bulb is on, it doesn't bleed across to the other section. That's really all it's for. All right, well, what about the LEDs though? The nice thing about LEDs is they're kind of directional lights. They sort of mostly shine sort of straight out of the LED, and they're not going to bleed much at all across to the other side. So that gives us the option of completely removing this. If I do remove it, I'm going to have to bend it back and forth because it's spot welded in, and it's just going to break if I do. So it's irreversible if you break this thing off. But since we don't need it anyways, it's really not super duper important unless you wanted to go back to the bulbs. Now, if this was a hardcore concourse car, it might be that you would drive around with the LEDs on, and then if you wanted to do concourse, you'd pull the LEDs out and put the original bulbs back in. But if that was the case, then you would want the original sockets as well, and who knows whatever happened to the original sockets for the car. So I think what I'm going to opt to do is actually just remove it, and if we ever needed to put it back in, I suppose we could put a little bend in the bottom of it and reattach it, but I just don't think we're ever going to need to. So I'm actually just going to bend it back and forth as the instructions said, and just until it fatigues, and it'll break right off. It's actually pretty cheap, kind of crummy metal anyways. All right, with that thing out of the way, we should be able to get this in pretty easily. Now, one of the problems is that this little clip back here, I believe, is part of the grounding system for this, and it's designed really on the originals to ground there. So we'll have to make sure that we use our extra grounding strap here. It goes just to the outside connector here. We want to just pull the rubber down a little bit so we can get it to fit underneath it. And then same sort of deal on the top here. There we go. The rubber actually goes over the top of the circuit board. And that's it. It's a really nice, tidy installation. I have just the taillights on. You can see on the right side that it's on. This one's not working. So let's figure out what's going on here. My guess is that the little connectors need to go in a little bit further. Pull this guy back out again. Now we can adjust the length of these things a little bit by turning them in and out here. So that's pretty cool. Let's run them out a little bit and see if that takes care of it. This guy back there, we'll give that a try. There we go. Wow, those are bright. Holy cow. All right. That's much better. Wow, is that thing bright. Let me go ahead and step on the brake and make sure we have a brake light as well. Yep, there we go. Looks like we have a brake light as well. Great, yay. At this point we can refit our lens and our chrome bezel. Let's go ahead and button this up. There we go, look at that. Boy, that's pretty bright, huh? All right, and there's our brake light. Look at that, huh? While we're at it, we'll test the blinker on this side. Yep, and as I thought, the blinker is not working. That's okay. We have a fix for that. Well, that's pretty sweet, isn't it? Boy, they're a zillion times brighter than the incandescent bulbs. Let me go ahead and do the other side real quick like a bunny, and then we'll get to installing that relay. Well, our new taillights are in and they look great, except our turn signals don't work. So we are going to have to install our electronic flasher. It's pretty simple, really. It's just located up under the dash here, just to the left of the steering column. We're gonna plug it in, and then we've got to just hook up a little ground on the side, and that should take care of it. This silver guy here is our original flasher. We'll go ahead and pull that guy out. And our new one is just going to plug right in, right where it was. But we have to hook up our little ground here. But look at this, right next to it is a completely accessible little bolt. So we'll go ahead and loosen that up and put our clip on. There we go. Okay, there we go. With the new flasher in, let's go ahead and test in back there and see if they're working. All right, left one, look at that, working great. Yep, look at that, working great. All right, well, let's take the car out and make sure everything's working. Proper shakedown test. And I want to give you my opinions on this car as well. All right, here we go. Here our fuel is on. There we go. Starts right up. That's always a plus. Boy, it's just a beautiful day out. Look at that. Oh, it's gorgeous out. And it's warm too. And we're in November. Listening to the engine on back throttle downhill while it's cold is actually one of my best indicators to see if the carburetors are in tune. I know that sounds really, really funny, but they'll snap and pop and make all sorts of fuss if they're not right. And that sounds really good. Yay, that's the first test passed. Through the first roundabout gives us a chance to kind of check the steering a little bit on the car, and it's very nice. It's very responsive, but not overly communicative. It's very nice, very neutral that way. It's very smooth. It's running great, and no more gas smell. That's great too. Boy, that was pretty bad, huh? It's just like a normal car now. So first impressions, it drives really well. It's very responsive in the steering and just really tracks the road really well as well. I really like that. Power feels great, especially for the weight of this car. I think the power should be somewhere around 90 horsepower-ish, something like that. And it seems more than adequate for the weight of this car. It's great. We're also at almost 6,000 feet here too, so it's doing really, really well. Now, how does this compare with our A car? So we have a 58 A Cabriolet, and how does that compare? Well, this car is a bit more sorted. This is the last of the line for the 356s, and including disc brakes. So that's pretty cool too, and I really do like the brakes on this car. Hit the brakes and the car just stops completely dead straight. That's awesome. And it just inspires you with a lot more confidence. And then as far as the power goes, our car is definitely a little bit underpowered. I have to work a bit to get anything out of it. That's fine, it actually makes it kind of fun. But this car seems to have a bit more power, a bit more pep, and that's actually pretty welcome. As far as the steering goes, the steering should be about the same on the two cars, although I kind of like this steering a little bit better. But the big difference on this car, really, besides the engine, would be that transmission back there. It's much easier to use than the one on our A car. It's just a lot easier, more robust. It shifts easier. It's just easier to use all around. running really well too. Just very smooth, just doing great. Really hammer it. It's doing really well. This is a big hill, so on our car, on the A car, it has a tendency to labor a little bit up the hill, especially if you have two people in the car. Boy, this thing's doing great. This is a totally drivable car. It really is. I mean, you're out with the rest of traffic and you're doing really well. It doesn't feel like some old rickety, vintage car that, I don't know if I really want to take that on the highway. I don't know if I want to take it for any trips. This car isn't like that at all. It's totally reliable. They're bulletproof. They work great. They're comfortable as well. I mean, a ride on this car is great. It's not bouncy. It's not bangy. It's not painful in any way. It's very comfortable. The only thing it might be is a tad loud, but I think that's kind of the exhaust that's back there, actually. All right, that's a very bumpy bit through there. Oh, great. All right. It's running great. All right, this is a bit like highway cruising. The speed limit on this road is 60, which is pretty sweet. We'll just kind of doodle along at 60 and see how it does at speed. Our temperature has come up nicely. We're right where we should be. And at 60 miles an hour in fourth gear, we're somewhere close to 3,000 RPM. That's a great place for the car power-wise as well. So what I'm looking for here was, okay, so there's bumps and little bits in the road and stuff. How does the car track? Am I constantly, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh? Does it feel kind of crazy? And no, it doesn't at all. It feels great. It tracks along really nicely. I expect that. The 356s are just really well-engineered cars. That's why there's so many of them still around. They're really well-loved as well, and so people take good care of them. They're very special cars. Yeah, this feels great. I don't know what else to say. It's just really fun, super fun to drive, and just really enjoyable. It's such a beautiful day out, too. Oh, yeah. And the take-up's great. I love that turn. It's just a lot of fun. That transmission lets you shift a bit faster, so that's kind of fun. That's very different than our little A car. I always have to kind of treat neutral as just pause there, but it's very nice. Oh, this is very pleasant. Totally puts you at ease. Driving. Oh, I mean, what more do you want? This thing's great. You're not completely insulated from the road, completely insulated from everything that's going on. You've got no nanny controls whatsoever. You have to manage your own thing. And I really like that in a car. Yeah, it feels a little more solid than the A car, definitely. When it goes around the corners and stuff. Ava's great fun, but I don't know, I think the tires are kind of crappy and I don't know, not 100% for me. All right, well, final thoughts on the car. C cars, great car. This is really the first time I've ever spent any time driving one, and it is definitely an improvement. Porsche is so like that, right? Incremental improvements, one after the other, just to bring the brand up, and this car is no exception. You can definitely feel that it's a Porsche. It has that DNA to it. It just feels like it handles well, it's eager, it's great fun to drive. Some of the best driving cars out there, I think. And it's a wonderful car. We had to do a few things to get the car, you know, to its prime again, and that wasn't that big a deal. And you saw that I did it at home with just sort of normal tools and things. These cars are very easy to work on and just really reward you for spending time with them. All right, well, that's pretty much the series for this little 1964 Porsche 356C. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great fun. It was a lot of work, but in the end, we got it, I think. Car's running great. It's a real joy to drive. So I hope you enjoyed the episode and the series. If you did, please give the episode a thumbs up. And if you've got any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below and we'll get right to them. So we've got lots more videos coming up. We're getting back to the 3.2 Carrera project. I got stuff on the i8 and stuff on the 993. All sorts of stuff going on. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell next to it so you get notified and you won't miss a single one of these episodes. All right, well, thank you so much for watching, and as always, a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. Okay, until next time, safe travels. Bye.